Hello, sixth graders. Today we will be learning about the scientific method. So today's essential question is, how can I solve an everyday problem using the scientific method? So we want to know how you can face a problem that you encounter in your daily life, or maybe something that you encounter kind of on a regular basis at home with friends and sports and music, whatever it may be, and how we can actually use science to make a better predictor of coming up with a solution to your problem. So the agenda for today, we will talk about the scientific method and how it applies to problem solving. We will learn the steps of the scientific method so that we can design examples of problems we find possible answers by using the scientific method. We'll know we have it when we can correctly arrange the steps of the scientific method in order. We have correctly used each step of the scientific method, also in order, to come up with possible solutions to our problems. And when we can write multiple facts of today's learning when we do our closing 1-minute essay. So the end of class, we're going to write for about 1 minute as many things as you can remember, key things from today's class. So we're going to learn a little about the scientific method, learn the different steps, and then find ways that we can apply it to our lives. So first, a little bit, what is the scientific method? It's basically a series of steps, or just kind of like a mapping that we would follow in order to show how we find answers to problems. Scientists use this all the time when they come up with new inventions, when they come up with new products, experiments, all of these things. So anything that you can think about basically dealing with science, a scientist probably somewhere along the line used the scientific method. So it's very important to follow these steps, at least to some degree. So you might see a few different versions of scientific method if you were just to look it up on Google. But this is kind of like the key parts of the scientific method. So you start with just asking a question or finding a problem, something that you want to kind of fix or make better. Then you do a little background research. So we find some background information, so that way we at least know, okay, tell us more about the topic, what can we figure out about this that might give us some clues for how we're going to solve it. Our next step is then we're going to form a hypothesis. What this is, it's an educated guess or logical prediction. For example, like a hypothesis might be, I think that Mr. Hamer is going to be in a good mood when he is smiling when I come into class. Okay, so you're probably thinking that if I'm smiling, I'm going to be in a good mood. And hopefully I'm always in a good mood, of course. The next step is design an experiment. So here you want to test out how you can fix the problem. So we want to come up with some way that we're going to test out this problem and look at some of the different ways we can come up with an answer. After we do our experiment, so we designed our experiment, we've done our experiment, we're going to look at the data. So this means we're writing down information. We're kind of looking at, do we notice any patterns, any trends? What's this telling us? And then our last step is we're going to form a conclusion. So we're going to say, was our educated guess right? Was it wrong? Was it close, not close? Why? What can you tell me? Was it even, did we come up with an answer, not come up with an answer? Even if it's wrong, that's okay. It just tells us maybe what's not working. So at your table, what you're going to do with people at your table, these were the discussion questions that we went through in class. Do you think it's important to follow the steps in order? Why or why not? What is one problem you encounter on a regular basis that you could do an experiment over? So here we're thinking about maybe it's something with school that's continually a problem, maybe sports, maybe you're trying to find a way to shoot better free throws. Household chores, maybe you're trying to find a way to speed that up but still get the job done right. Video games, how can you get that dub in Fortnite? Habits, music, so forth. So finding ways that we can improve upon something or find a new solution to something. Then with each step of the scientific method, I want you to kind of think about what's going to be the hardest step for you of those steps. And I'll go back to these steps here. So of these 6 steps, which one of those is going to be most difficult for you? And why do you think it would be most difficult? What about that? Maybe you have a hard time just coming up with a question. Maybe you don't know how to set up an experiment. Maybe even just writing things down might be difficult for you. Okay, so I think about what's going to be hardest for you and why. And then once you've had a chance to kind of think through these, maybe if you had a chance to talk these over. But we're going to keep going on for now and go through a sample experiment. So in this example, Mr. Hamer wants his students to work hard and be on task, and I'm trying to find a way to increase the amount of time that you're going to spend working on an assigned task. So my problem is, it's not really a problem of like it's not something that's working, it's just something that I want to work even better. What can I do to keep students on task longer and get more work done? So I did some background information, and I learned that maybe candy as a reward could be a possibility, playing music, or maybe just yelling at people to always stay on task. But I don't want to lose my voice, and I don't want to rot out your teeth, so we are going with, I thought a good place to start would be playing music. So my hypothesis is I think that playing music will keep students on task and working longer than without playing music. And I should really explain why also my hypothesis. So I think this because I know students like to listen to music, so it's a engaging factor for them, and also it can cover up some of the distracting background noises. So in my experiment, I gave a worksheet to each of my classes, once on a day when music was being played, once on a day without. I wanted to make sure these worksheets were similar difficulty level. I wouldn't want one being super hard and one super easy. I'm doing this for all 4 of my 6th grade science classes, and I'm going to do this multiple times throughout the semester. I don't want to just get information from one comparison. I want multiple comparisons so I can see, do I find a pattern or no pattern? Does it happen regularly or not regularly? Then I'm going to write down how many students were off task, how often they were off task, how much time do they spend off task in each class, and I'm going to compare. Was there a big difference when the music was played versus not? And if so, was it the same for each class? Were some classes different? And then I can kind of make some of my conclusions. So the homework assignment today, you are coming up with a possible problem you could encounter, and you're going to start planning out how to solve it using the scientific method. Best of luck.